What if I told you that the world you are living in today is not the same world you grew up in? That the global system deciding money, power, security, and influence is quietly changing right in front of us. No announcements, no single moment, just slow, irreversible shifts. Empires rise, empires weaken, and history turns its page. This is the story of the new world order. For nearly 80 years, the world followed a pattern. The world followed a familiar pattern. After the destruction of the World War II, one country stood above all others. You all know the United States of America. It rebuilt Europe through the Marshall Plan. It created global institutions like the United Nations, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. It controlled global finance through the dollar. It ensured security through NATO. This system came to be known as the American led world order. For decades, it worked, or at least it appeared to. But world orders are never permanent. They last until power shifts. And today, that shift is happening faster than most people realize. The United States is no longer unchallenged. China is rising at historic speed. Russia is openly confronting the West. Europe is struggling to define itself. And India, once ignored, is being watched carefully by the world. We are no longer living in a unipolar world. We are entering something far more complex. To understand where the world is going, we must first understand how world orders work. A world order is not just about military power. It is about who sets the rule, who controls trade, who controls money, who controls technology, who decides what is legal, acceptable, or normal. When this power shifts, the world order changes. And right now, the rules are being rewritten. Let us begin with the most important challenger, China. China's rise is one of the most extraordinary transformations in human history. In 1980, China was poorer than India. Millions lived in extreme poverty. Its economy was closed and isolated. Today, China is the world's second largest economy. It dominates global manufacturing. It, its cities rise like futuristic skylines. Its influence reaches every continent. That didn't happen by accident. China followed a long term strategy. It became the factory of the world. Cheap labor, massive infrastructure, and state planning allowed China to produce everything from toys to smartphones, from steel to satellites. Western companies outsourced production. China absorbed technology. China learned faster than anyone expected, and slowly dependence shifted. Then came China's global expansion. Through the Belt and Road Initiative, China invested in ports, railways, roads, and infrastructure across Asia, Europe, Africa, and Latin America. More than 150 countries became economically connected to China. Trade routes became influence routes. Became leverage. Supply chains became power. China also expanded militarily. Artificial islands were built in the South China Sea. Territories were claimed, naval strength increased, military technology advanced rapidly. At the same time, China invested heavily in future technology, artificial intelligence, 5G networks, electric vehicles, solar energy, surveillance systems. China's ambition is clear. It doesn't want to participate in the existing order. It wants to replace it. But Replacing a world leader is never easy, and the United States still holds enormous power. Yet, cracks are visible. America today is facing challenges from within. Political polarization has divided society deeply. Democrats and Republicans no longer disagree, they fight. Government shutdowns have become routine. Trust in institutions is declining. Foreign policy changes with elections. Stability, once America's strength, is weakening. Economically, America is struggling to maintain dominance. National debt has crossed unimaginable levels. Manufacturing has moved overseas. The middle class is shrinking. Inequality is rising. America remains rich but increasingly fragile. There is also a loss of moral authority. Wars in Iraq and Afghanistan raised questions. Surveillance scandals damaged trust. Many countries no longer see the United States as a moral guide, only a strategic one. The question the world is asking quietly is simple. If America cannot manage its own divisions, can it still lead the world? As America weakens, others become bolder. Russia is one of them. Russia, Russia is not an economic superpower, but its military force willing to take risks. The invasion of Ukraine was not just a war; it was a statement, a message to the world that borders can still be changed by force, that Western influence has limits, that NATO is not untouchable. Russia weaponized energy. Gas pipelines became pressure points. Europe felt its vulnerability instantly. Russia also strengthened alliances with countries opposed to Western dominance. China, Iran, North Korea. An informal anti Western axis began to form. The world started to resemble a divided system once again. East versus West, but this time the lines are blurrier. Now, look at the Middle East. For decades, the region was shaped largely by American influence. That era is ending. Saudi Arabia is diversifying its alliances. China is becoming a key partner. Diplomacy is replacing blind loyalty. Iran has gained strategic depth through regional influence and global allies. Israel finds itself increasingly isolated amid global criticism. The Middle East is no longer controlled by one power. It has become a chessboard of competing interests. Europe, meanwhile, is struggling with its identity. Brexit weakened unity. The Ukraine war exposed energy dependence. Economic growth is slow. Birth rates are declining. Immigration tensions are rising. Europe wants relevance, but the global spotlight is shifting elsewhere. And then there is India. For centuries, India was a subject, not a decision maker. Colonialism drained its wealth. Post independence struggles limited its influence. But today, the narrative is changing. The world is no longer asking whether India matters, it is asking how much it will matter. India is one of the fastest growing major economies. It is on track to become the world's third largest economy. Its population is young. While China, Europe, and Japan are aging, India's average age is under 30. This is not just a statistic, it is a potential. India has built digital infrastructure at a scale rarely seen. UPI changed global conversations on payments. Startups are rising rapidly. Space missions showcase ambition and capability thanks to ISRO. India's military presence secures critical sea routes. Its geographic positions makes it central to global trade. Most importantly, India practices strategic balance. It engages with the United States maintains ties with Russia, builds relation with the Middle East, collaborates with Europe, negotiates with China. India does not fully ally, it negotiates. This flexibility is rare and powerful. For the first time in centuries, India is not reacting to global events, it is shaping them. It's creating friendship with Africa. So, what does the new world order look like? It is dominated by one superpower. It's not dominated by one superpower. It is multipolar, multiple centers of powers, multiple alliances, multiple leaders. The future will be shaped by technology, who controls innovation, demographics, who has young populations, energy, who secures resources, economics, who controls trade and finance, unity, who manages internal stability. There will not be one leader of the 21st century. There will be several. But influence will belong to those who adapt fastest, those who innovate, those who stay united internally, those who think long term. The new world order is not coming. It is already here. And we are living through history, not reading about it. The only question that remains is who will rise and who will fail as the century unfolds.